Good to be true. Well, take it apart again tomorrow. So yesterday, my chainsaw stopped working, and I thought I fixed the problem. I took it apart and I did not record it. I recorded putting it back together. Well, I recorded after it was together, but I did not record how I took it apart. Well, I used it for a little while yesterday, and it stopped working again. I am not sure if it is a flooded carburetor or if the electrical wires that I repaired yesterday, if those were damaged. So we're going to take it apart again and just to see what actually happened in there. So the first thing I do is I got to take the bar off. I just drained 95% of that gas out of here, otherwise it's going to spill all over the place. And so the coil, which is the wires that I had to repair yesterday, was actually the grounds are underneath here. I'm gonna do my best to keep it in camera. So yesterday I noticed when I had a no start situation on it, the flywheel's right here, and right where this connector is, this wire here was actually cut by the flywheel. So I ended up putting the red wire in. Let me back out, that's way too close. Okay, so give you an idea where we are with it. And then if you look, the red wire here is a ground. It used to be green. This green wire, and basically those go to your on and off switch that short out your coil, and that's how it shuts off. So I was thinking that might have been part of my problem, but those look good. I have a feeling my carburetor is flooded, which is obviously up here. So, because it was in the video, or not in the video, when I was using it, it actually was stalling. It didn't just shut off, it was stalling. I just wanted to check these wires to make sure my repair from yesterday was still good. It appears to be. So now I'm gonna check the carburetor and see how, I'm gonna take this off and see how the carburetor looks. Here's the carburetor. Here's one of the wires that I fixed yesterday. And here is your you're off. When you go off, you see it shorts it out right there. Let me bring the camera in a little bit more. See that black wire? It shorts it out, it grounds it out. And that grounds it out over to that green wire. So this black wire here connected to the coil. The green wire is connected to the coil frame, or the ground on the coil. And then what happens is when you interrupt it, let me see if it'll focus on it for you. There we go. So when you go to shut this off, so this is in the run position. Let's see. All right, so that's in the choke, run. Those are in the run positions. And when you go to shut it off, you flip it up like that. And that grounds this green wire, which is attached to that copper lead at the other end, to the black wire. And that's how it shuts off. It interrupts the spark, basically. And here's your spark plug. And here's a carburetor right there. So I think the carburetor is bad. I think I'm going to order a new carburetor. But let's take it apart and see if we can clean it. I'm also going to take the spark plug out and see if that's wet. If that's wet, it's definitely a carburetor. Nice little soothing fire. I just lit it. I haven't had a fire all summer, and it's going to rain in about an hour, so it's a good time to have a fire. That way you know everything's going to get washed out. Okay, it's nice and dry, but I didn't try to start it today. You got to take these two screws off. They are 5/16 is what I have on this. They might be metric. They might be 8mm metric. I don't know, but 5/16 works perfectly. Take those off. Oh, we got to pop the throttle cable off, the throttle linkage. So you do that, squeeze the throttle. If you could see that linkage right there, squeeze that throttle, brings it out, and then you can just pop that right up. You have your fuel line in the bottom. You have a line here, a fuel line here. That's your fuel line going here. It just goes down, snakes underneath, and goes into the tank right through this hole down here. I'll zoom in before I take it apart and show you. And then you have this one right here. This is a vacuum line that goes to the block right there. And they all pretty much slide in and out pretty easy. Well, they did yesterday. And then the fuel lines here, I'm gonna take the screwdriver and just carefully push it off. And there's a carburetor. Turn it around. See? So this is a fuel line, and this goes to the vacuum on the block. And I did notice I was always flooding, my engine was always flooding before. So this here comes off. Now this, I'm not gonna do it, but then this here is a little metal ring right there that goes in this black hole here. This is your intake manifold. Basically, it's a rubber boot that connects your carburetor, which is on your plastic housing, to your engine, which is all the way in there, which is rubber mounted through all the bushings. So that's gonna be the flex point. This here is not round, it is actually oval. And if you look in here, this is oval. So you kind of have to line it up so it fits in there the right way, like that. Then if you actually look at the metal ring, the ring is actually labeled, I don't know if it's going to be in focus, but it's actually labeled top right there, because these are not in the center, as you can see. They're off just a little bit. So then this goes on that, like that. And then your carburetor seals up against that. And this is the numbers they told me to look for. HD21/L. So my fire is going good. So anytime I have a fire, since my fire pit is very large, the fire pit itself is probably 6 feet on the inside of the circle and at least 10 feet on the outside of the stone. So that's all 6 feet. So it gets a little too big, but that's all my scraps from splitting firewood. So whenever I start getting a hot fire, I always spray everything with water with the garden hose. So even though I'm sitting right here watching it, it's just a little reassurance. All right, let's get back to fixing that chainsaw. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna clean up the outside. Got a little carb cleaner. I am gonna be buying a new carburetor for this. I just wanna see if I can clean it. It's never been cleaned, never been off the machine in 25 years that I've owned the machine. So let's see if we could just clean it up and get it to run better. So let's take the top off and see what it looks like inside there. All right, let's see what happens when we open it. A little bit of dirt there, comes right off. And these should only go on one way. So I know this opening faces the choke, right? Yes, because air cleaner, yes. So that goes there. Let's see if this will even come off without ripping. Just gotta take your time. There it goes. So that side is down. So let's put that there. That side's down. And here is your needle. Right there. So let's take that out and clean that. Because if I'm flooding, that means the fuel is getting past it, more than likely. Let's hold this down because it's spring loaded. This is when having bad shakes does not work. Got that little tiny spring in there. And that's your needle right there. That little needle acts as a plunger and seals the fuel from going in. So let's just give it a little wipe. Oh yeah, look, it's supposed to be red. It's supposed to be orange. So let's put a little bit of carb cleaner on this. There we go. Okay, that's better. My fingernails were all dirty because I was splitting wood earlier. So I didn't scrape my fingernails yet. Sorry about the dirty fingers. Don't judge me. I know a lot of you people on YouTube judge. But I was splitting wood just a little while ago and I just rinsed off my hands real quick. So now I'm going to spray that off there. This is where the needle goes. I got to be careful not to mar it. But since the needle was dirty, more than likely the seat that's in there that it seats in was dirty. So be very careful. So if you ever mess around cleaning carburetors, this is a torch, cutting torch, oxygen acetylene torch set, cleaning, tip cleaner. It's a bunch of little tiny little round files. You want to be careful though. You can't just stick them in aimlessly because you could poke some of your gaskets in there. So you gotta just be kind of careful where you put them. And you don't ever want to make the holes any bigger. Clean this part out and put it back together. So, first thing this here. Take your needle. Now I got ashes from the fire on my hands. Take your needle. Take the pin that it rides on. And it's like a seesaw. It just teeter-totters in there. Whenever it needs more gas, it opens up. And now this is the part that's really hard when you shake. Got to get this spring to sit just like that. Let's prop this up. There. Get the spring to sit like that. And then you take this and you got to get it in there. Oop. Like I said, this is the hardest part for someone like me who shakes nonstop. So then you got to put this, I don't know if you could see it, in there. So I'm gonna do this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. We'll see at the end. Okay, push it down, take that little screw. That screw holds that in. Make sure it's snug. There. So now when it requires more fuel, this pushes down, the fuel comes in, goes into the engine. So we know that side was down. It has some alignment pins. Looks like it went like that. That's nice and clean. That goes like that. Now I got those 4 screws. Well, we're this far, we might as well keep going. Let's take this side off. I'm going to hold it down because I am not quite sure if it's spring loaded. You never know. Just a normal screw. And that screen there looks dirty. Spray it out a little bit. Gotta watch your eyes when you do this because you never know what hole it's gonna shoot out of. Oh, got me in the chest. So if you watch, you shoot this one out. It shoots out. This one shoots this way. This one shoots this way through the big hole. So this one shoots out here. This one probably shoots out inside the carburetor somewhere. Or it might not even be used, who knows. But it's clean. Clean enough for me. One thing I didn't do, I didn't pay attention to which way this went. Okay, so this goes like this. That big horseshoe goes on that big horseshoe. Oh, there are alignment pins. Okay. Well, let's clean this off while it's on here. Let's carefully take this layer off. Oh, look at all that dirt. Spray it off carefully. Okay, so that went like that. This to this, okay? Look at all the dirt in there. Let's try to clean that off. Take that off carefully. Okay. Now this I'm going to flip over this way also. So the downside is facing up. So we stay consistent. Let's clean some of this dirt off. That's going to take some scrubbing. So these holes actually go right through. This one was clogged though. There, look at all the dirt that came out of that. I wonder if that had to do with it. And this is not that pipe there. Well, let's see if we get it back together. Take this, flip it over. Take this, flip it over. Take this. Oop. That looks good. Well, the carburetor is taken apart and it is now back together. It goes like this. That's the choke. Here's your throttle back here. This is your fuel line, goes to the fuel tank. This goes to the bottom of the engine. I'm quite sure you small engine repair guys that do this for a living can definitely pick up a bunch of places that I screwed up on or didn't clean or didn't take apart or did something wrong. But my saw's not working. I want to try to get it to work. See, there's even a little hole right there. That little black mark right there, that's actually a hole. I should have done this with it off, but I'm not going to push hard because I know I have this gasket up there. So let's just make sure that's open with the smallest thing there. All right, let's put it back on the engine. So that metal ring goes around the outside of your rubber intake manifold. So here's your fuel line. It's right down there. Here's your shut off. Let's get that out of the way. So I'm gonna just take this and I'm gonna, the bottom vacuum line goes to there. This goes to the fuel tank. And carefully slide it in. You know what I am gonna do while it's out? I'm gonna put this in. This makes it a little bit easier, like that. So here we go. So that's lined up. Oh, well, this came up, so I'll put it on after. That's lined up, and they both go right in. Look at that, perfect. So I see these need to be done manually. And these are just rubber guides for your tool when you go to adjust, do any adjustments. So that's in, that's in. Take your two little nuts. know my hand's blocking it. Sorry. Put that one there, put that one there. Spin them on by hand. Get them all the way in there. 1/4 inch drive socket. Let's make sure I can get that linkage in there. Linkage is in. Squeeze the throttle. And now I got to push that down in there. There. Throttle works. Choke works. So all the way down is full throttle and choke. Go up one, opens up the choke, but I'm still at full throttle. And then hit the throttle, and then it goes back down to idle. So that's how that works. If you're wondering what this physically does in there, well, now you just saw it. All right, I'm gonna tighten up the carburetor. Everything's very small here, so you're not doing tight. Check the spark plug. Spark plug looks clean, good enough. So put the spark plug back in, and then snug this up. Put your cap back, your spark plug boot back on. That back on. Do the air cleaner, and that's in the top here. Goes there. Snug. Now I honestly don't know which way this goes. Go this way? I think it goes that way. That would make sense because it's getting the hot air to breathe. That's the way I think it goes. All right, everything looks good. That's back on. So, remember that black wire on the kill switch? The black wire comes from the coil. See the green wire? That's a green. That was a green wire. And that was a green wire. I had to replace them with red, but those are grounds. And what happens is when you shut the switch off, it shorts this out to this. That's all you're doing is shorten that out, and that shuts off the spark. So that's how that works. And way inside there, that's that rubber boot that connects the engine, the aluminum engine, to the carburetor, which is mounted on plastic on this wall here. That's it way in there. Just if you didn't know. I didn't know as of yesterday. Here's your coil, your pull start. Sits right in there. 4 screws. This one screw here goes into the handle. All right, well, let's add some gas. Choke off. So for the last few months when I've been using this has been leaking gas. Top of the gas tank, let me take this off, see if that belts. There you go. There's this. If any of you guys know what is supposed to go on this so the gas doesn't come out, can you let me know? Because gas pours out of this. It's just a hole into the tank. So I think there should be a rubber plug or something on that. So if any of you guys know what's supposed to be on that, let me know. So one reason I think it's the carburetor that's bad, that's failing like that. Number one, if start has a spark, no problem. Number two, watch, I bet you the spark plug's soaking wet. I bet you it's flooded. So I'm gonna take the spark plug out right here. It's wet, but it should still start, huh? Yeah, not as wet as I thought it was gonna be. Maybe I should just order a whole new coil also, but I definitely need a carburetor. I'm keeping this saw, obviously. I kept it this long, so I might as well get all new on there. Let's try it. Yeah, it's definitely a fuel issue. That was full throttle. That's my weight guide. Uh-oh. Something just let go. Maybe I will be buying a new saw. We're taking apart the engine. Like I said, you can't break something that's already broken. So that's one of my ways I look at everything. I wouldn't take apart a perfectly good running machine, because then you're just chancing it. But this saw stopped working, so can't break something that's already broken. Can make it worse, but you can also fix it. Well, I see that's one problem. Ah, wait a minute. See, opening up Pandora's box here. So what happened, the keyway sheared off in here. So on the crank, yep, there it is. That's it. So that goes on the flywheel. Right there, it's part of the flywheel. So it's not a piece that you can replace, as far as I can tell. Yep, so I need a new flywheel, it looks like. Well, looks like I'm doing some research. I'm done for the day. I gotta see if I gotta order a carburetor, and I gotta order a new flywheel. And while I have it off, I'll get the part numbers. I'll get the part numbers in the back side, and I'll order it all, then we'll put it all back together with all new parts. Let's not mess around. Thanks for watching this far. So I finally got the parts in for the 039 Stihl Chainsaw. One of the parts I was waiting for was a new flywheel and a carburetor rebuild kit. So this flywheel, the engine just stopped running, basically. So this flywheel, when I did some troubleshooting on it, noticed that there is a keyway on the crankshaft of the engine, and there's an aluminum keyway which is molded inside the flywheel there. So it actually sheared off. I don't know if you could see it up in there, that camera. It actually sheared off. So these are, I think the price was something like $130, $140 for a new one. I normally don't buy used, but this was on eBay for sale, used, from an 039, same part numbers. The part numbers are which one is it? It's 11/27/400/1200, and it was the exact same one. And this was $30 delivered. And so it has a perfect keyway in it. I'm gonna take this little tag out. There's a part number. They actually are very good when they dismantle their saws. They labeled all the parts. And so they cleaned it up. It's nice and clean. So it looks the exact same. My keyway on my crank looks good. So that fits like the old one, fits like it should. Goes in there nicely. Okay. This is a 13mm. I ordered it. It did take a while to get the part. I ordered it over a week ago, probably about a week and a half. Righty tighty on it. I just want to give this a little tap with the impact, just to make sure it seats in there. So now it's just a matter of adjusting the spacing right there on the coil. I am not a small engine repair guy, professional I should say, but I know what I used to do with cars was a matchbook for the points. So we're gonna try this little paper tag. Not touching anywhere. Should be good. Oh, that would help. I never put the spark plug back in. That was a problem. So I actually have a carburetor rebuild kit I bought for it. I am not going to use it unless I need it. See, it leaks gas though. So I got to figure that out. In here, there's that little tube that sticks up and my gas pours out of there. I think there's supposed to be a cap on that. So I got to figure out what that is, because that's where in my videos you always see me filling up with gas. all my gas bills out of that. I think that's supposed to be covered. The 039 and the 029 are pretty much the same size except bigger, I guess. Built between 1993 and 1994. I'm gonna go to the garage where my other chainsaws are, and I'm gonna look at my 029 and I'm gonna see what they have on their gas tank. So I'll be right back. So I got my 029 next to my 039, and you can see they're almost identical saws. I bet you this even fits. Yeah, see, everything's interchangeable. So that's good to know. So on the 039, the fuel tank has that little tube sticking up there, and I don't have something on that for some reason. I lose all my gas there. On the 029, there seems to be a tube there. And I do not know where that tube goes. You see it? This is the 039. The 039, right here on the gas tank, has what should be a tube, I thought, or a cap. So I have an 029 also. So I went and got that, and it's laying on the side. It's a 029 Super, and it has the same thing, and it has a fuel line there. I need to figure out where that fuel line goes, because this should have that same fuel line. That's why I'm going through so much gas. In my videos, people comment that I'm going through gas. Well, it's pouring out there. So let's take apart the 029 without causing any damage, I hope, and see if we can figure out where it goes. Oh, while I have the camera, here is inside the 039 flywheel. There. See the keyway is sheared off in there? That's actually supposed to be an aluminum bump, and it's all molded all in one piece. It's not replaceable. So that's what broke on my 039, why it stopped running. See, it kind of sheared right off in there. So, but it's up and running. Now we just got to figure out that fuel leak. So let's take apart the 029. So I found where that line goes. That's all it is. It's just a little tiny line with a little metal vent screw in there, basically, or it's a screw. That's what it looks like. So that's another successful repair on the 039. It's way up in there on that little, let me take the cover back off again so you can see it. So it's right up inside there, that hose right there. It just comes up to here and dead ends. But there's some metal screws in it or something, so I don't know what the purpose of it is. So I took it off to 029, which would, same spot, and I put it on the 039 so I can use the 039. So it's amazing. These two saws are absolutely identical, except must be just the CCs of the engine. So now I know that. I am good to go. Oh, and she found her blanket. That's my little girl. So 029, 039, everything's the exact same. So I'm actually probably gonna order a couple of those little hoses because they probably do fall off, and I'd rather have it than not have them there. And I'm also gonna order a chainsaw blade guide. That's those little plastic guides. One of them is missing on my cover. Oh, thanks for watching. Let's get started cutting more firewood. Got a lot to go.